What would you do if you were stuck in a cage that was unguarded? There's no point. What's the point? It's a cage. I'm not gonna get out of a cage. There's nothing but black on the outside of the cage. Nobody is strong enough to break a cage. So I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until somebody knows I'm here. I'm gonna wait until somebody realizes that I'm missing. I'm gonna wait until I believe that I even exist. This is my life now, in a cage. Nothing to look forward to, nowhere to go. Just here. Hit the cage. Hit the cage. Hit the cage. Hit the cage. All you need to do is hit the cage. When you hit the cage, you realize that you're stronger than you think. When you hit the cage, you see what's on the outside of it. It's not darkness anymore. When you hit the cage, you realize that you want to get out of the cage. When you hit the cage, you realize that the cage can't hurt you. When you hit the cage, you realize that the cage is made out of wood. When you hit the cage, you realize that nobody is gonna come and free you from your cage because they're trapped in their own cages. When you hit the cage, you realize that you're the one that put yourself in that cage. When you hit the cage, you realize that you know where the key is. When you hit the cage, you realize that you're the one that walked into the cage and locked it and threw away the key. When you hit the cage, you realize that perspective locked you in there. You just assumed that the cage was made out of metal. Perspective that you didn't even go and attempt to see if that cage could be broken or not. The perspective to believe that your life was going to end in that cage. When you hit the cage, you realized the value of your mind. You realize that your mind is your strongest tool. When you stood up and hit the cage, you started to see new things. When you hit the cage, you realize that there was nothing to be scared of in the first place. Don't be afraid to be seen trying. When you hit the cage, it didn't hurt. When you hit the cage, you felt better. When you hit the cage, you started to kick the cage. You started to elbow the cage. You started to headbutt the cage. You started to kick the cage. You started to knee the cage. You started to high-five the cage. You started to dance on the cage. You started to play patty cake with the cage. The cage was never scary to begin with. The cage was more fragile than you are. The cage can't do anything to you, but you can do everything to that cage. And when you realize that all you need to do is hit the cage, you would never be trapped again. Don't be afraid to be seen trying. All love, you lot. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.